Good evening, it's Dave the Urban Survivalist. I hope you're well today. Now, today I'm here with my friend Mike, the UK Urban Prepper, and tonight we're going to be talking about survival of the fittest. Are you fit enough to survive? Now, before we start, a few of you might know I've been a guest on Mike's podcast on a couple of occasions. Um, his link is below. He's going to post a link below, but literally check him out. It's an awesome channel. Lots of chats and debates with real preppers and survivalists. Lots of great topics covered. You'll enjoy it. If you're a prepper or a survivalist, you're going to love it. Anyway,
thank you.
Yeah, good to see you again, Mike. Now tonight I want to talk about fitness for survival. Are you mentally and physically fit enough to survive? Now, Mike, we see this quite a lot of time with the prepper survival groups. You know, the guys that they talk the good talk, they can fight this, but they can't climb a flight of stairs or walk around the corner shop. So, I mean, I want to ask a question while we're here. Is like just keeping this on a basic level. In your opinion, what do you think would be the least amount of fitness required for a basic bug out situation?
Whoa, I mean, I think something like that you'll get used to in good time. If we had to walk everywhere, then people would soon adjust. It all depends on where you're bugging out to. A basic level of fitness. I mean, if you need to be able to walk 5-10 miles at least to get out of a town or a city, but it all depends on your plan, right? If you're less able, then plan for that. Bug out.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is the thing as well, because I mean, even though I'm physically fit, my wife is disabled, so I have to take that into account. So either I have to carry her, or like, you know, it's like we have to adapt our plans to that. There's no point in me being able to run 15 miles if she can't walk out, you know, like 5 miles.
Yeah.
So like you say, but I think in general, like a basic level of fitness would be ideal, you know?
Yeah. And it's for some reason, it's a topic preppers don't want to talk about most of the time.
You know? Well, exactly. It's like, I mean, I had a couple of cases on my group where like these big lads, I mean, we're talking big lads, very strong lads, but they'd even said to me they didn't have the cardio at all, yet they were bugging out. Like, I think it was something like 15, 20 miles away, and none of them had vehicles. And I was like, well, how are you going to get there? You're big boys. It's like the calories as well. You're going to have to carry to keep yourself going.
Yeah, definitely.
It's going to be quite a thing. I mean, have you come across this with the preppers a lot?
Yeah, so has Ema, who comes on my channel sometimes. Both of us have looked at, like, because we both been into fitness.
Exactly,
both been into bodybuilding at one point, and it's just as soon as you mention the subject to preppers, they just disappear into their shell. Like, they're quite happy to own all the kit that looks like they could be Rambo.
Yeah, exactly.
When they can't bend over to lace up their own boots, there's an issue.
This is actually, it's so funny you should mention that, because I've done training. Like I was at training, MMA training on Thursday. I took the lads, we did a really hard warm up, and all these are young lads, and they all want me to put them in for fights and that. And I said, right, okay, what I'll do for you is this week, who fancies going for a run outside? We'll do like a 5-mile run to start. They all just walked out the door. No thanks. No, do you know what I mean? I don't want to do it. I'm not interested at all. Do you know what I mean? So I think, like you say, it's across the board. Exercise is kind of a dirty word, isn't it?
Yeah, which is madness, because I mean, if you plan to lock yourself in your bunker and eat your preps and have no form of exercise while you're in there, you best hope the fallout's gone in 2 weeks, because you won't last beyond that.
You know? Exactly. And I think it's like, and I think, as you mentioned, it's like with people with disabilities, if you prepare for that type of eventuality, you know, it's like you can adapt your preps and like even your plans to go with your abilities. You know, we can't all be super fit. And this is what I'm trying to say on this video, is that like people don't have to be super fit. You don't have to be athletic or anything, but it's just you need a basic fitness.
Yeah, you need to tailor it to yourself, right? Because it's all right. I mean, I've put on a few inches, so need to get back into it. But it's all right if you haven't got the fitness.
Mm.
Won't then follow a prepper who is, and follow his plan of bugging out up into mountains or into the
Yeah,
wilderness because
yeah.
he's into that. That can't be your plan.
No, no. I mean, the other thing is like you're hitting the nail on the head there, because I think it's all about personal, and everyone's prepping and survival journey is personal. I mean,
Mhm.
mine will be different to yours, even if we have similarities. And it's like, and I think again, it's knowing your limits, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and it's knowing that can be said across everything in prepping.
Yeah,
Recently, I did a get home bag, and I
yeah,
had somebody on the comments critiquing my get home bag. You need this, you need this, you need this, and I'm like, no, I don't. I know how far I've got to get
yeah,
home. You have
exactly.
no
And you
clue
know,
what you're talking about.
and you also know your own skill set as well. So
Yeah,
you know, like if you've got any skills, I mean, you're ex-military guy, aren't you? So it's like any skills that you have is going to replace the equipment that you need
yeah.
overall anyway, isn't it?
For me, get home is head down and get home.
Yeah,
And I would be blowing out of my and
yeah,
sweating my back off because I would be on a mission to get home. There'd be no stopping, pitching a tent and cooking a nice warm meal. It would be energy gels and going through the night because I've got kids and missus at
yeah,
home and people that rely on me.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing as well. This is the thing I had with a lot of the bushcraft preppers, you know, and it was like they'd go out for their prepper do's and stuff like that, do their prepper training, and they'd be sitting there like with cans of scrumpy, bacon sandwiches. And I thought, well, like in the real world, it's not going to be like this. Like you said, you're going to have to get your head down. You're going to avoid everyone you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And just that, I mean, we'll talk about that anyway. But it's like, I think going grey man and learning how to walk, you know, and carrying weight as well. I mean, how many people do you know that actually practice bugging out with their bags on? I saw a thing with Everyday Prepper, which was good. He was like practicing with the kids and stuff, like
Mm-hmm.
with the bags, which was really good. Me and my brother, we'd done like 50-mile hikes with over 30 kilos on, hill walking, elevation of 3,000 feet, and we know we can do it, you
Yeah.
know. And I've taken someone else on there that was apparently fit, and they didn't last an hour. They were
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. People don't real. I mean, you can think you're physically fit. You can sit
Mm.
there and you're in quite good looking
Yeah,
physical
yeah,
shape.
yeah,
But till you do these things, it's different. I was in pretty good shape. I did football coaching and stuff like that.
yeah.
And then I went to Helvellyn. Yeah,
Right.
walked to the top of Helvellyn, and my back was in pieces.
Mm.
Uphill walking was killing the lower spine. And I'm like,
Yeah,
what
yeah,
the hell is this? And I had to go back and speak to a PT and stuff like that. And it turns out I just built up strength in my lower back doing certain exercises, and it's slowly got better. But yeah,
yeah,
till I got in that position where I'm heading up a mountain, I didn't know that
yeah.
was going to be an issue.
I mean, that's the thing with elevation as well. I mean, I've always been a fit guy. I was judo champ, MMA. I used to do a lot of long distance running and stuff like that. And when we did this hill walking, it actually was a test for me, because usually we'd hiked and we'd hike for miles,
Mm-hmm.
but we did the hills in Folkestone, and it's kind of like you go up like that, and then you get to the end, and you think, thank fuck for that, and then like you get flat, and it's got another one, and it just seems endless hills, and
I've been.
literally, well, you know what it's like? It's like your
Mhm.
legs, all of a sudden, you're going up a hill at that angle, and literally your legs, your thighs are burning after
Oh yeah,
about 10 minutes of it,
yeah, yeah.
you know, and
But
it's hard work, isn't it?
yeah, and when you see the people that are prepping for this, they've got the bug out bag, they've got all their army surplus gear on, they've got the Norgi on, as well as a jacket over the top, as well as something else, as well as a shamag on,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that. And then they start going uphill. What's the first thing they're going to have to do? Start
yeah,
stripping layers off
yeah,
because you'll
yeah,
be
absolutely,
begging.
yeah. And that's the thing is, I mean, that's like a good tip which we do in other videos and stuff. Is like when you are out, is like layers. Layers are so important for cold and warm weather.
Yeah, definitely.
You know. But yeah. So anyway, so as we're talking about equipment and stuff like that, that's actually the next thing I want to move on to with fitness equipment.
Hmm.
Again, I mentioned in previous videos, and we spoke about this, the gear halls, you know, the people that with all the equipment and never use it or don't know how to use it.
Yeah. All the
Do
gear, no
you?
idea.
Yeah, but I mean, in your personal opinion, do you think you need a lot of equipment? This is for the viewers that are new to getting fit and stuff, because I don't believe you do.
You don't
You
need
know,
anything.
no, exactly.
You don't need anything. So when I started my fitness journey, it was like everybody else. It was the height of that moment in time where we were all sat in our house and going clapping every week at the
Yeah,
door.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and everyone was watching
Still
this Joe
clapping.
Wicks guy, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, no, I'll pass on him. But I did find somebody else, and it was like calisthenics and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And that sent me on the journey. 6 months of doing that, I didn't look like a demigod like you'd expect when you see the
yeah,
video,
yeah,
but I felt a lot fitter. And it
yeah,
just, when I got when they opened, I just went to the gym and I felt so much better doing it.
yeah.
You need
Did you lose a lot of weight?
Yes. Yeah, I lost
Yeah.
2.5 stone at
Wow.
first, and by the time I'd done keto as well, it was like 3.5 stone I'd lost completely. I
Mm.
think I've put 2.5 back on recently, but is what it
It
is.
happens when we
But
go off season, doesn't it?
but it's all about improvisation. It literally is.
Yeah,
At one point, I was using my wheelie bin. I was stood on a step, like, and then there was the wheelie bin was down the step, and I was using the wheelie bin for curls.
yeah, yeah.
It's great because throughout the week it gets heavier. But yeah,
Yeah,
you can improvise anything. It's the hardest thing to do is getting in the habit, getting in the routine, getting the
exactly.
motivation.
Right, so I started keto a little while ago. You mentioned keto, and
Mhm.
I've been doing it about 5 weeks, and I lost, because I do judo and that, I was 91.8 kilograms, which for me, my build was really heavy, which means I'm going against some big bastards, which is not good. Do you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah, yeah.
these guys are walking around comfortable at 100 kilos, and there's me where I was overweight by nearly 2 stone.
Mhm.
I've had to cut it down. So now I'm at I weighed in this morning at 80.5. So I've
Yeah.
now gone down 2 weight categories for that. But
Mhm.
it's like you said, the mindset that it takes to do this is phenomenal. I've got a running machine. I've got a exercise bike. I've got weights, and I haven't used any of it. I've literally been doing body weight calisthenic exercises, sit ups, squats, press ups,
Yeah.
running, all this stuff, and I haven't had to touch that equipment. Obviously,
Yeah.
if we was banged up again, like the government likes to bang us up every now and then, then it's all here. But
Yeah.
and I think getting in that mindset of people don't need all this flash equipment. You don't need all this flash gear. Pair of speedos and like a pair of trainers, and you're sorted.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. At the end of the day, it's like it's more about the mindset than the actual equipment, isn't it?
Definitely. And motivation is something I really struggled with.
Yeah,
So the start of that period of time, the lockdown period of time, my relationship ended a day before they announced the lockdown. I
mhm.
found out I had alopecia on the day of the lockdown. So all this happened at once, and then we were locked down, of course.
Yeah, yeah,
And I was lucky enough to be able to work from home, but it also
mm,
meant that I didn't get out the house.
yeah,
So the motivation was really down. Now, this worked for me, but it might not work for everyone. Honestly, motivational videos online changed me. They
yeah,
really did. And some of them are corny, some of them are corny as hell. But I found David Goggins, who's an ex like Marine,
yeah,
did
yeah.
the Marine
David
selection,
Goggins.
stuff like that. And even the what's the guy called with the really long face? He looks like a massive guy. But,
I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, he's a
He wears
motivational
a
speaker anyway.
baseball cap all the time. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
big
there's a
boy.
few there was a few of them anyway, and literally I started listening to them, and 20 minutes listening to them. I tell you what it reminded me of. It reminded me as a kid watching the Rocky montage.
Yeah.
And as soon as I finished watching the Rocky montage, I'd be doing like 20 push-ups, thinking, yeah, I can take on the world. Then the next day you forgot about it. But yeah, watch the Rocky montage every day if that's what it takes.
Yeah. I think for me it was like with motivation. It was like I think my daughter motivated me because it's like as I'm getting older. I mean, I'm 51 now. Like I'm approaching 52. I wasn't like I had a big belly. I was eating crap all the time. We'll talk about eating in a minute, but like literally,
Mhm.
and I got to the point where I was depressed all the time. I was getting injured all the time because it's affecting my mental well-being.
Mhm.
And I looked at her one day, And I just thought, as a father, the least I can do is be a strong role model for you and literally be able to protect you in the way you should be protected. And it literally started me off. And the first exercise I've done, Mike, was I started doing weights and stuff before I started the diet. And the stairs, I started doing push-ups on the stairs, working my way up the stairs and working my way down. And I just did that once every day. And then I could start doing it on the floor and I could start doing press-ups. Yesterday's training, we did 120 press-ups each. Do you know what I mean? On the floor. So we've just from this little step, it's like what's it that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step, and it's so true, isn't it? Motivation.
Yeah, I mean, I set up a whole YouTube channel based on the fitness when I was doing and it was just like, it was a similar sort of thing, like you were saying, with the steps, doing the push-ups. I even got to the point where I had 2 dining chairs, so I was doing push-ups where I went lower than my shoulders, don't slip though, What I will say, if you don't mind, what I will say to people is just don't go crazy in the first day, the first week. That's what pulls a lot of people off. They're like, oh, yes, I'm motivated. I'm going to do 50 push-ups and I've never done push-ups in my life. And then tomorrow you will be in pain.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's called DOMS. Some people enjoy it. It's a good thing, but you will be in pain and you'll think, I'll never do that again. But don't ease yourself into it. Do things you can do. If you did 10 push-ups a day for an entire year, by the end of the year, that 10 push-ups is going to be so easy that you'll want to do more anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what you're saying with the exercise stuff, and obviously not overdoing it. I think what I learned, because I was getting injured, I tried to exercise, get back into it, because I was always been a fighter, and I tried to get back into it 6 months ago, and I went full pelt, and I was laid up for 3 months. Literally laid up for 3 months with my back.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, because I went too mad at it and literally just overdoing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like you say, you've got to take it easy, ain't you? Especially when you get to my age, mate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it becomes an addiction. I will warn you, if you really get into fitness, it becomes an addiction to the point where I had a leg injury, so I was just doing arms every day, which is not the best idea.
No.
Shouldn't skip leg day, but and then when I had a shoulder injury, I had like 4 to 5 days in a row of leg day, which was interesting. But it becomes an addiction. It really does.
And also your diet, isn't it? I mean, you say keto. I've been on a low. I wouldn't say I was quite keto. I went on a low carb diet, but when we worked out calories and stuff like that, we got a keto app, so you can register your carbs and stuff like that. So my wife worked out that I was eating 6,600 calories per day, and 750 of that was carbs. Wow. Right, so it was high. Right, so I literally dropped from that to, I think it was about 80, and now I'm on about 50 carbs a day, and I have a cheat day. But you don't realize how it adds up. And to lose weight, you need to be on a calorie deficit diet. And there's so much shit going on about. Obviously, we're moving on to eating and food. Now, and the only reason I think we're qualified to talk about this is we've both had successful diet and exercise plans that work for both of us. You saying you trained as a coach. I trained as a fitness instructor, baller weightlifting. I'm an MMA instructor at the moment. I'm a keen judoka. I mean, do you think people are eating too much crap and their diets are so bad? How does this affect their fitness and even their mentality? And what can they do about it? I mean, like, you've done keto, I've done keto. We know that big extreme diet leap that we've done.
Yeah.
Now, how can we make this or advise people to do this without it being too daunting?
I mean, some people hate keto. Some people say it's bad. There's a documentary on YouTube and on I think it was on Amazon Prime as well, called The Magic Pill, which is an hour documentary about YouTube. That'll dispel a lot of myths that your PT will tell you. It's logical you will lose weight in a calorie deficit, right? We are carbon beings. You're putting this much fuel in and you're taking this much fuel out. You are going to lose weight. It's just how
Absolutely, yeah.
Gradual, that is. And the problem a lot of people have on diets is it's a diet. My one advice would be don't go on a diet. Have a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Don't sacrifice stuff. Oh, I can't have that. I can't have that. Just change the way you eat. When I went keto, I went what they call dirty keto.
Yeah.
Now, I lost, like I say, with a bit of exercise, 3.5 stone altogether. Yeah. And even I wasn't even doing exercise at the start of it, but 3.5 stone I lost on keto. I was eating 4 eggs and 6 rashers of bacon for breakfast.
Yeah.
I was eating German and Polish sausages, like a plate of 8 of them for my dinner. I was eating so much. I was never thinking, oh, I'm starving. I can only have so many points. I can only have so many calories.
Yeah.
So depending on the person, if you're not a big eater already, if you think, well, I'm overweight, but I hardly eat anything, you're lying to yourself because you're picking. You're having little things. If you weren't eating anything, you would be losing weight. And I don't want to annoy people, but you're
it's
lying.
the truth. It's the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. When people do, so the first thing I would recommend anyone is get an app. I'm not going to sell you which app, but get an app. There's loads of them. And record everything you eat and drink over a week.
Yeah.
And at the end, look at the numbers.
It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be honest, what made me realise is when we got this this keto. I'm not saying to everyone to go keto. Keto's not for everyone. You know, there's carnivore, there's vegetarian, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you. But when we got this app, my wife said to me, "You eat a hell of a lot of food." And I was like, "I don't eat a lot." I was like, "I bet." So for breakfast, I would end up having a cup of coffee. I would have 2 croissants, right, and that was my breakfast. You know. Then in between, I'd probably have a chocolate bar and a pack of crisps. Then at lunch, I'd have a sandwich, a cake, another cup of coffee. Then in the afternoon, I'd probably have like a couple of bananas or something like that. And then for dinner, I would have something shit like pizza, chips, coleslaw, you know. And then for after that, I'd have cake and custard for after that. And in the evening, I'd have a sandwich, cake. I'd have then crisps and chocolate. And before you realise it, you're just plodding along doing your own thing. And
I need a nap listening to what you've ate.
Exactly, yeah. So now it's like literally I've cut down. So I don't eat breakfast at all. I do intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So I fast from 10 o'clock at night till 12 o'clock in the daytime. But I will have a cup of tea when I wake up. And then for lunch, I pretty much eat meat, eggs, and cheese. And then for dinner, I have something substantial. So I'll have meat and vegetables. And then in the evening, I have a keto brownie and a keto bagel and a cup of tea. And it works well. The weight's coming off, mate. And I've had to do what you said, basically, was change my lifestyle, because only 2 weeks ago, Mike, I was in Sainsbury's and my wife's buying the shopping, and we went past the cake section. I was going, I can't have anything. Why can't I have that cake? And she says, you can have what you want. It's freedom of choice. I said, but then I'm weak. I said, I can't have it. And I had a tantrum like a little 5-year-old boy in the middle of Sainsbury's, right? And I got people looking at me, and I thought, like, what's the matter with you, Dave? It's like craving this stuff so much, and it's all shit.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like
sugar is more addictive than most class C drugs. It's more addictive than alcohol. It's more addictive than adult content on the internet. Apparently that's an addiction these days. But it is. Sugar is one of the most addictive substances in the world. It's one of the biggest causes of heart disease, not saturated fats, not all this stuff. Sugar is the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why do you think preppers say it's a great trading commodity? Because people are going to crave it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think this is the thing with diet as well with your preps, because we know as a prepper and survivalist, most stuff is full of shit and preservatives. I did a video on this on my YouTube. It was literally, it's like ration packs full of preservatives, mostly carbs to like get you through an energy, and sugar.
Yeah.
Tinned meat and stuff like that is all full of nitrates, sulfites, and polyphosphates and stuff like that. So there's a lot of shit in it. So in a survival situation, am I going to be keto? No, I'm not. I'm going to eat whatever there is, you know. So it's like, But the idea of this is to become fit enough and more disciplined with my eating, that in a survival situation, I can afford to go out with these luxuries like chocolate and sugar and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I will eat anything in a survival situation, and squaddies will relate to this.
Yeah.
Well, if they joined around the same sort of time I did, anyway. The recruiters in the recruitment office, when you first go, they'll give you all like videos and all sorts. You know, that's how how far back I'm going. I said a video, yes, and a VHS. And it was telling you about healthy eating and running and getting ready for the military, blah, 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 all this stuff, and telling you what to not eat to eat and everything. You get in there, the first day, you go for scoff. There's pizza, burger, chips, pies, everything. And I said to the bombardier, I said, like, I thought it's all about healthy eating. He said, trust me. He said, trust me, son, the amount of work you're going to be doing, you're eating a gallon of fuel, we're going to burn off 2 gallons. I think SHTF, it's going to be manual. Everything's going to be manual. There's going to be tasks galore. So I think no matter what you eat during SHTF, you're going to burn it off.
I mean, you think if you go camping, for instance, a lot of people talk about bugging out to the woods. As you know, it's not my top on the list thing. So, but if you go there and you haven't got a lot of equipment, you've got to carry wood, you've got to build shelters, you've got to go searching for water. There's a lot of calorie expenditure there, isn't there? You know, so it's like and like I say, this video isn't about telling people they've got to be super fit. You know, I know people that can run 10 miles, that still smoke, they still drink. Do you know what I mean? They enjoy themselves. They have a takeaway every now and then. I'm not saying you've got to be so disciplined to the fact that you're going to be an Olympic athlete. But what we need to do is start thinking about the realities of if we're going to bug out or we've got tasks to do, that our diet and exercise is really important.
Yeah.
And also, sorry, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, it's conditioning, right? It's conditioning yourself now while you've got the luxury to do so. You can still go to Tesco right now and get fresh meat and fresh salad and free and stuff like. You can still do all this right now. Before you've got to sit down and tuck into 27 Frey Bentos pies because that's what you've stocked up. Then, in the meantime, condition your body now, because even though you might going to take a beating in SHTF, the fitter you are now, the more chance you're going to have of making it through. Imagine for some reason you're away from your preps and you can't eat for 3 days. Do you think a healthy person is going to survive, or do you think the overweight guy is going to survive?
Yeah, literally. You know, and it's also about mindset, which goes on to the last thing I want to talk about today. Now, mindset, mental stress, duress, fitness of the mind, whatever you want to call it. In a survival situation, a good mindset is something that would be the difference, and you might agree with me, between success, extreme failure, or even death, right? Now, I have some certain ways that I have on keeping on the level, because I have been known to sort of like let stress get the better of me. Depression, it can creep in. We're all human. Do you know what I mean? So I have certain ways I have of keeping on the level. But how do you maintain a good mindset in today's world? As we know, it's not a good place. The world is fucked. We all know. In the prepper community, in the civilian community, in the military community, even the police community, we all know that there's a lot of shit going on in the world. And you're pretty much like me. You know, we know the world's not in a good place, but we're quite jolly about it, aren't we? We don't let it get us down too much.
Yeah.
Now, what are your thoughts on this, mate? I mean, about keeping a level head, because we do keep a level head, really.
Yeah. You know? Well, I mean, first thing I'd say is don't beat yourself up. Everyone has a slip. Yeah. Everyone gets into a funk. I've been at the bottom of the barrel, and I know what it feels like to start to go. You know what I mean? You start to, you know, when depression's creeping in, you start to feel it. And it's a very personal journey. So it's what works for you. Now, I know what works for me. It's getting up, it's starting a project, it's keeping busy. It's you know, there's a reason there's a video every single day on my channel. And I never stop, but that's one thing that I do. And people will have different techniques. People will have motivational speakers, like I mentioned before. But yeah, don't beat yourself up about it, because the more you worry about feeling depressed, it's a slippery slope. And I know it sounds like riddles, I know, but it's really hard to advise because it's very individual.
It is a personal thing, isn't it? I mean, to be honest, it's like, excuse me, I kind of like, I exercise a lot. And I think diet, and as you find this, when you look into autism cases where the parents have changed the diet of the kids and they've had dramatic improvements, and it's exactly the same as you, me, when we stop eating the shit that they give us,
Yeah.
you know, or at least not to excess,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, my favorite thing used to be a can of cherry Coke and a cream cake. My favorite. I haven't had either in 10 years, you know,
Yeah.
but it's like, you know, diet and what you're putting in your body is going to affect your mindset,
100%.
you know.
Healthy body, healthy mind.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. I think it's like literally, I have been so low, and it's the same as probably a lot of men that we don't talk about this type of thing and stuff like that. But I've been at points in my life where I was so low, and then the weight packs on, and you comfort eat, and you do all this shit. You don't want to exercise, you don't want to speak to people, you don't do this. And I think if I could say anything, is like if you're keeping active, like you say, you do your videos and stuff like that. I do other stuff. It's like I go for hikes, I go like, or like I go exploring, whatever, you know.
Mhm.
I think the thing is like, and I take you agree with me, is just literally keep yourself active.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely. Both body and mind.
absolutely, mate. Yeah,
I do. I mean, people get offended, and I've said it before, and people have been upset about it when I say healthy body, healthy mind, because they're like, "Oh, well, I've got MS, or I can't do this," and all different reasons. That's not a reason. That's not a reason. We've got Josh, the disabled camper, who's part of the
exactly. Yeah,
with
awesome.
both of us two, and he's in a lot of pain a lot of times, but he still makes the effort to every so often stick his pack on, go out with the dog on a hike with a full pack. He goes wild camping. He doesn't take a luxury camper or anything like that. He goes wild camping at his age.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse, because if you can't do physical exercise, you can eat a bit better.
Yeah.
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 If you struggle with your diet and you really can't give up them chips, then you need to exercise more.
Yeah, exactly. You need to, but that, I found a lot of people as well. They online. We know what online's like. I mean, it's like a prime example. My wife, she had a really bad accident. She was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. She's had metal plates in her legs and everything. You know, and there's other people that have had similar things and stuff like that. They sit there and let themselves go, and they get overweight, and they think. She decided to literally start on the running machine, and she was working out and working out, and everyone said to her, well, there's nothing wrong with you. And like, but and then literally she would get off the running machine and be dying for 2 days in agony. I mean, she ended up having to send pictures of her metal plates in her legs and her screws and her operations because people didn't believe her. You know, because they don't believe that certain people have this mindset, like Josh, you're saying, we can overcome, or they can overcome the adversity that, say, God's given them, or life has given them, and literally, rather than sit there and mope about it, they've got off their arse and actually done something and become a better human and a better person for doing it. Yet the bitterness of other people will say, because they can't do that or they won't do that, they say there's nothing wrong with them. Do you know what I mean? They're milking it, or you know, and you know online what people are like, and it's just.
Oh well, you're always going to have the keyboard warriors and stuff like that, and like I say, you do get a lot of preppers that just get really defensive when you get on the subject of fitness in general.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous, because it's probably the ultimate survival.
yeah. It's like when you mention to your kids, isn't it, housework, and all of a sudden they hate you and kick everything about and like run out the door. That's what it's like, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I go to my boy, it's like, you got to do a bit of washing up. What you and you say to a prepper, exercise is exactly the same, like a spoiled kid that don't want to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's not even an SHTF thing. It's not even a Teotihuacan thing. It's a quality of life thing. It really is a quality of life thing. And I've been at that rock bottom, and I've been overweight, and I've been depressed over it. And the tub of Ben and Jerry's doesn't help, because that sugar is worse.
Yeah.
And I'd say I want to put something back to you here now.
Yeah.
How much of this is the system?
Oh,
We have a
yeah.
food triangle that's based on all grains.
Yeah.
All stuff for grains and stuff you grow. Why? Because it's cheap to produce and you can produce it en masse. Nothing to do with the health benefits. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was the health benefits, proper meat and proper veg would be that bottom layer.
Yeah, I mean, we looked into this literally because my wife got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. So she went on a search for a cure, and apparently there's no cure for it. But it's like looking through and just searching deeper, a lot of additives in food, a lot of stuff that are adding. Now, the system, when you can get a burger for 99p and a salad for £3, it shows you where our system is flawed. Do you know what I mean? And it's like the advertising for stuff. I watch programs about how they advertise this high sugar, high fructose shit for kids, you know, and adults. Acetylflume K in drinks now. Acetylflume K, I think, was used in the German. I think it was the Nazis used it as a sedative or something like. It was something like that. It was, don't quote me on it because I don't know 100%. But it was definitely a chemical.
Yeah.
Like aspartame is in most of our food. They did a test with ants. Ants literally will eat anything sweet, right? They walked around the aspartame. You know, they give dogs, right? You've seen it. Like I've seen the video. No, I've seen the videos of when they've given dogs, go to give dogs McDonald's, and the dogs turn their nose up. Bears in the wild, they won't eat that shit because they know it's not good. And, you know, it's like you say, the system provides us with cheap food.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone's going like that. Oh, do you know what? I'm going to go and get a Mackie D's because it's like $3.99 or whatever. And that saves me getting a fucking week shopping. I can go and spend that on the piss on Special Brew. Do you know what I mean?
And how do you feel 2 hours after a McDonald's?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I used to love McDonald's.
But I'm hungry 2 hours after one.
Yeah, yeah. And this is another thing I found, sorry, just going on that, where the system gives us all this kind of food that we can eat and it's readily available, you know, lots of preservatives and stuff like that. I mean, back in the day, the only preserving methods they would have had is salting and smoking, really.
Yeah.
You know, not like fucking sticking it in, tripolyphosphates and nitrates and stuff like this. It's like, it's a total different way of life. And yet their argument is we live longer. Yeah. But we live longer for their point of view, what they tell us.
Wouldn't we live longer through the healthcare?
Yeah.
This is the other broken part of the system. Because you go to your doctor with any ailment, and when's the last time your doctor asked you about your diet to do with that ailment?
Never.
They treat the symptom.
Yeah.
And they never look at the underlying cause. There's little blue pills. There's little blue pills gentlemen can get. Yeah. You know which little blue pills I'm on about? The little triangle pills that gentlemen can get. Do you know if you cannot achieve that on your own without a blue pill, that's your body telling you there's something wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
You shouldn't be reproducing because there's something.
I mean, the thing is, we could literally go on a whole tangent of this on pharmaceuticals and medication because literally we could. Because I mean, just
tune
quickly,
in for episode 2.
It's something we should do, maybe. But my wife went to the doctors this week, and she's had blood tests for her hormones and that because she's an older lady, same age as me. She's 51, and they said her cholesterol's high because she's been on a keto diet. And she said, "Well, I'm on a keto diet," and she said, "Well, like that's not good for you, is it?" And the doctor said this, and she said, "Like, I'm going to put you on statins." And my wife's gone, "Statins? What, you mean the drugs that like are going to give me Alzheimer's by the time I'm 60 and literally destroy me from the inside out, and I have to rely on them for the rest of my life?" She said, "No, thank you." And the doctor was like, "What?" She said, "When are you going to ask me about my diet and exercise?" And she said, "You won't, will you?" And she said, "You're just a drug pusher." Yep. She said, and that's it. And this is where you will get some doctors. We can't tar everyone with the same brush. I'm sure there's doctors somewhere that will talk about your diet and exercise. But I think you're right. In today's society, it's very easy to pop a pill.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, when I'm stressed, a diazepam would be lovely. Oh, yes, of course, it'd be lovely. But there's repercussions for every action you do. You know, so you might take that diazepam to chill out. And then you got the side effects coming off it, the side effects while you're on it.
Yeah. I feel like it's a government thing that they could save a fortune on. They're complaining that people are
Yeah.
going getting paracetamol on prescription because you can buy them for 50p, right?
Mm.
But they're prescribing drugs willy-nilly for things. If the same patient, if they sat them down with a nutritionist for an hour and came up with a plan, in 6 months' time, they'll be on 50% less medication. I can guarantee you, if they stick to it.
And the thing is, if you think about medication, obviously, just touching on it, in a shit hits the fan situation, the guy who's reliant on antidepressants, the guy who's reliant on pain relief, the guy who's reliant on like diabetes medication, these people will be the first to go, or they will break. You know, it's a big thing to think about, because we thought about that. We thought about that. I was on antidepressants for 15 years. And I thought, what would happen if I couldn't have them now? And it took me 6 months to wean off them.
Yeah.
You know, but again, it's one of those things, isn't it, mate? One of those things we could go in forever on.
Yeah. I mean, so it's all right. I think the whole point of just touching on that was that it's not always the person.
Yeah.
People are conditioned this way, and you've got to break that conditioning of them selling you the cheap food, you know, them selling you a big box of shredded wheat with lots of green, healthy labels on. So it must be healthy. So I can eat shredded wheat every day,
Exactly,
which is a bowl full of carbs.
Yeah.
With a bowl full of milk. What's milk? Milk is to make baby cows fat. That's what milk is. We're the only species that drinks another species' milk.
Yeah, I mean, I love milk. Yeah, but I know what you're saying. Yeah, no, but it's like everyone's different, isn't it? Because it's like, obviously with these things, again, another video for another time, but we could literally go into it. That it's not, in fact, the wheat. I mean, the gluten sensitivity that's come over the years has increased. Now, is that the wheat, or is it the glyphosate? Is it the chemicals that they're using on the wheat? Again, something for speculation, something to think about, you know, later date.
Yeah, I can go well into the gluten-free
Well,
stuff.
we could,
Recently,
yeah. But anyway, right, obviously some things to think about there, and a good discussion as always with you, my friend.
Appreciate you having me.
I'd like to say thanks to Mike for joining us and helping us out with this, because this is the first time we've done something like this on my channel. Thanks to Mike. So hopefully it goes to plan. So, but also, I'll say one more time, head over to his channel. There's some good guys on there as well. And remember, fit body, fit mind. Do you know what I mean? Positive mindset, you can achieve whatever you want in this world. Don't let them tell you who you need to be. You know, it's not the government's place to tell you who you are or what you should eat. This is down to you. Free thinking individuals. You're going to be strong and shit hits the fan. Thanks a lot, Mike. Take care. It's been emotional. Lots coming up on the channel. I'll see you soon.